my mouse has decided to have a life of its own today. So we'll see how that works. All right. So hi, everybody. This is Career Search Lunch and Learn, and I am Linda Brubaker, and I'm hearing an echo. So if you have your mic on, please turn it off unless it's your turn to speak. We'd appreciate it. We want to be able to hear all of you. We want to be able to see all of you. It's one of the things that we're doing today is that networking. So having your cameras on, okay, is a really important part of that. We want to be able to know you, like you, trust you. And in these networking sessions, as always, on screen is so much better than off screen. It gives us an opportunity to know who you are and to really connect with you as that individual. I'm Linda Brubaker, and I am a career transitions coach. I've been doing this now for the almost 9 years. Oh my goodness. As well as that's how long I've been doing these lunch and learns. I've got a background in human resources and recruiting, in fact, well over 20 years. I think last week I decided that I was going to be honest about it and say over 30 years of experience in human resources and recruiting. I've been an HR manager, an HR business partner, an internal recruiter. I've managed recruiters. I've been an executive recruiter and a career search consultant. And so one of the things that we do is in these sessions, we're making sure that we're giving you the advice and support and the job search tips and tricks that can help you move on to your next job. Now, we know that most of you really don't want to be here. Okay. You'd rather be working, or right today, you'd rather be with your families. So, our goal is to give you whatever support and advice we can to help you move on. But we're so glad that you're here. And we want to be able to support you in any way we can. Want to let Sue, who comes here so often to help support us, want to let her introduce herself to you all as well. Marty, if you'd like to introduce yourself, like to let you do that too.
Great. Hi, everyone. I told Linda I can only be here for about 15 or 20 minutes, but I had to bring all my holiday pom-poms to celebrate. These are I got to get all blue ones, Linda, but you'll take this ones for blue. I've long been a blue color, by the way. All right. So a lot of you know me, but I know a couple of new names, and I just connected with someone I'm not yet connected to. So I am a coach like Linda. I work globally, so that means I work with people in all different time zones and in different cultures, and helping them on professional presence, which is kind of like we talk about in the U.S. personal presence, but there's more formality in some areas we watch for. Doesn't matter. A lot of this is, are you telling a compelling story so that the other side of the convo understands the value you bring? And if you've been here at Lunch and Learn, and I see some old friends of mine, not old by age, old by longevity together during COVID, I know that you all have received a lot of information about how best to display yourself. So I'll be here to celebrate your wins, that I'm just going to slip off without saying anything. But I'll see you all next week to celebrate our last time before the new year. And Linda, heartfelt thanks for now. I think it's 3+ years you've been doing this every Wednesday. And I only know of one or two you haven't been able to do, one of which I know I helped you with. But other than that, you have been stalwart and such a champion. So also, Linda, pom-poms to you for all of the value that you bring and the space you make for us every week. All right, Marty, it's nice to see you synchronously. I've seen you over the years, you and Ken early on when you were doing My Networking Central. So glad to share the stage with you. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Sue. I appreciate it. Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. I'm Marty Latman. I'm here to help you. Basically, my background's in finance, operation, and IT. I've been an executive who have helped many people in their career development and career advancement. I do 3 things. I do fractional CFO work, business advisement, and executive coaching. And I help people like you be the best they can be. So I put my information in the chat. Take advantage of me. let me know how I could help you. I'm more than happy to do that. I'm Marty Latman.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. So as all of you know, or I'm hoping that those of you know, I'm seeing some new faces, and that is fantastic. Remind you to please put your information in the chat. We want to connect with you and support you in any way that we can. Sorry, can't always type and talk at the same time. I forgot to mention that in addition to doing these lunch and learns, I also do individual coaching, and I'm happy to work with you as well. That information is in the chat. And as of this morning, 930 of the people that I've worked with, either in these sessions, which are really group coaching and then follow up, or in private coaching, have gotten offers. And over almost 9 years, that's not bad. I'm feeling pretty good about that. In any event, we want to make sure that you are adding your information into the chat. And I also want to remind you that we have a private group. And in our private group, you can continue to do this kind of networking that we're doing today. In order to join our private group, you have to have registered for these programs. We want to make sure that everyone who's in that group is there for the right reasons. Okay, so there's not going to be any spam. And if there is, please let me know. But this really is a group of providing support, networking, sharing job ideas, asking for advice, asking questions. And today, one of the things we're going to be talking about is sharing your skills that you want endorsed, sharing your URLs. Do that in our private group as well. So if you are not a member of that private group, please make sure that you join. The other thing before we go too far is that I want to remind you to copy the chat at the end of the day or whenever you leave. And I'm going to give you 2 ways to do it. At the top of the screen where it says Career Search Lunch and Learn, there are 3 dots. Click on those 3 dots and it will say File Save. Wait until the end of the day. You can also click anywhere into the chat box. Right click, left click, whichever one way your mouse works. Select all and then copy and then put it into your own document. Now here's why it's going to be really important. As we're moving forward today, in addition to adding, okay, your LinkedIn URL, and please make sure that it is a clickable link, which means that it needs to include the https://www dot, okay. We want to make sure it's there. But I want you to include your normal, here's what I'm looking for. And then we're going to be doing later, where you're going to be including just your LinkedIn URL and up to 5, or we'll say 5 to 10 of the skills you would like to be endorsed for. That's going to be in the chat. You want to be able to copy that. So if you can't do that while we're on screen, you can go in and endorse other people in the group for the things they want to be endorsed for. When we're done today, I'm going to take the chat, throw it into ChatGPT, and pull out those URL, your names, your URL, and those skills that you wanted to be endorsed for, and include that in our private group as well. So for those of you who for some reason have to leave early, or you haven't been able to copy the chat, you'll have that there. But in our networking session today, okay, one of the things we're going to really be doing is talking about how to use those endorsements and use your connections to build those endorsements. It's part of that networking process. Those of you who are new, we do start with real quick wins. So if you've had a quick win, please raise your digital hand and share with us. We'd like to be able to celebrate you. And if you've been here before, you know that a quick win doesn't have to mean you got an offer. It means you did something new. You changed your profile a little bit. You had an interview. You did something, you reached out to the new connection. Okay. Even if you had an interview that didn't go anywhere, we want to know. Hey, Stacy.
Hi, good morning. Well, I've been interviewing with a company for, I don't even know, 6 weeks or maybe. But I did have a final interview last week and I got a verbal job offer yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. I want to say a smile.
Yeah, I'm happy. It's mixed feelings, but I'm trying to think of all the positive things because I think overall, I think it's a really good offer. it's incredibly low compared to where I was salary wise, but I've been making 0 for the last 12 months. So it's a lot more than 0. So
Okay. So if you'd like to, we can talk offline about how you might be able to negotiate that a little bit.
I did, and they weren't too excited about going up, but I asked them for like a $15,000 bump from what they offered me, and they agreed to meet me in the middle. So
Well, that's not too bad. A $7,000 bump, $7,500 bump in between what they offered and what you're taking.
yeah, about that, 8,000. So
Okay.
yeah, but they do have really good benefits. At least I think so. I mean, just to start with, they have 4 weeks of vacation and 5 personal days and a weird number of sick days, which comes out to like 2 weeks worth of sick time. Um, so, and I don't have any other offers, and I just really, really want to get back to work. And I loved every single person that I spoke with and met with, and I think I'd be really happy there. So I think at the end of the day, that's really what matters, and I'll still be able to pay my bills. So
And the other thing is that if you decide as you're moving forward that this is not the right job for whatever reason, you can continue to look and we can continue to
absolutely,
support you.
absolutely. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other quick wins? For those of you who are here, that's a quick win. Okay. We really appreciate the fact that you're here, the fact that you're doing whatever you can to help support yourself. Stacy, are you willing to share the name of the company or wait until
Yeah.
later?
Sure. I mean, probably never heard of it. I think there's 50 employees, but it's called Logicoi, Logi capital COY. It's in the healthcare industry.
And you're going to be doing what?
I think the title is I think it's DevOps engineer, something like that. It's an AWS DevOps engineer, so it's basically DevOps engineer, which is
Good.
which
And
is
one more question, then I'm going to
yeah,
let you
yeah,
proceed
sure.
in the background if that was what you wanted to do, but
It's what I wanted to
you don't
do.
need to.
And that's part of the reason why I'm trying to justify the salary huge decrease, because I was a software developer and I really wanted to swing from that into strictly a DevOps role. And this role, I was applying for all different levels, and this is more of a person with like 2-ish years of experience in that area. So I have more than that. So that's why I wanted, and asked for a bit higher. So, yeah.
Right. How did you find the job, Stacey? How did you find the kind to
Um, LinkedIn, LinkedIn job
Good.
posting, and interestingly, I don't think there was even an app. It was a send your resume. If I remember correctly, I think this one, and because there's been thousands, I think this one was a send your resume to our HR person. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
I love it. So guys, that's another reminder. Direct application works. Okay. We know that networking is important, but don't overlook the idea of, those direct applications. Applying directly to the company. Don't apply through LinkedIn. Don't apply through Indeed or anywhere else. Go find the jobs wherever you find them. Apply on the company's website. It really does make a difference. And if you don't have that referral before you go in, go ahead and start looking for them afterwards. That's good too. You don't need to go in there. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to talk about a little bit about networking today. And I am so pleased that you all have decided to spend a part of your Christmas Eve with me, with all of us. So thank you very much for being willing to do that. So one of the things we're going to do in just a couple of minutes is we're going to pull off into small groups so that you can do that individual networking. But because one of the things we were talking about was that whole idea of getting people to endorse you. We know that LinkedIn is changing. And we're going to talk a lot about how LinkedIn is changing and continuing to change over the next couple of months. One of the things we do know, and the recruiters that I'm talking to, as well as the LinkedIn strategists that I'm talking to, are telling me that people are beginning to look again to do searches. Now, without a paid account, okay, and I have no paid account, so I'm limited in the terms that I can use in a LinkedIn search. limited in the way that I can search for people. But most recruiters on here are going to have a paid account. Now, they're not going to have a paid LinkedIn recruiter account. Fewer than all recruiters on LinkedIn have a recruiter account, okay, because that's very expensive. But even with a standard paid account, the same one that many of you have, you can do a very broad search. And one of the things that we are searching for are those skills, those keyword terms that we keep telling you that you should have in your profile, in your skills section, associated with every job that you've had that you're listing on LinkedIn, and putting your top skills in your about section. Now, you all know, if you've been listening to me before, that when you're applying for a job, we want to see what you can do specifically for them. So it is very targeted. It has to be only or primarily those skills, those keywords that match that job. LinkedIn gives you the ability to go well beyond that, to talk about everything you can do, and to highlight what you do best, what you're really looking for in that broader sense. So the resume is very specific. LinkedIn is generic. So that's where that skills match comes in. Now, right now, LinkedIn has given us the ability to add up to 100 skills in your profile. And they're giving you the ability now to add some native language skills. So before we were talking only about the fact that you can put in just those, or the best ways to do it would be use those drop-down boxes, and that's still the best way. But you can also add some things in just your own words. So one of the things that I've done is I've added, for example, next forever job or next forever career, because that's what I want to be known for. If there are things that you want to be known for, we want you to add those too. The other thing that we know, and Marty or Sue, if you know something different, please tell me. Marty, you've been watching the changes in the algorithms too. Okay. So we know that those skills matches are still important. And they're going to continue to be important in terms of some of those searches. You're more likely to be found for that skill if you have endorsements for it. In fact, I don't think this has changed, and I'm not sure that it will. But unless you have at least one endorsement for that skill that you most want to be found for, it may not show up in a search. Which is why asking people for endorsements is a good thing. Endorsing each other is a good thing. So how many of you have at least 50 skills on your profile? Yep. How many of you have, you don't know? Oh, all right, go into your profile right now. Or are you willing to let me share your profile, see your profile? Can you put your URL in the chat? By the way, remember to connect with everyone. You can only endorse someone for a skill if you are a first level connection. My computer is slow, so let me see what it comes up. Here it comes. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to show you a couple of things. Oh, interesting. Can you see Caitlin's profile?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. So thank you for letting us share that. So down the bottom, okay, I'm going to go to the bottom of the profile first. Down here where it says show skills, okay,
Oh, hey, look at that.
It looks as though you have 33 skills listed. You can have up to 100. You don't need 100. Okay? But more than 50, please. And if it's been a while since you've looked at your skills, go in and take another look. You want those skills to be in there and think about them as keywords for things you can and want to do. We all know how to use Windows, okay, or Word, or Excel, right? You know how to answer the phone. Unless that wants to be one of the tasks that you want to be primarily doing in your new job that's going to make you stand out, don't include it in your skill section. It's not necessary. Think about those things in your skill section, not just as the things you want to be found for, the things you want to be doing, but think about those skills sections as Boolean search terms. Boolean means that I can add more than one together. If I want to find somebody to network with, to talk to about what it is you're doing, to find somebody that I might want to connect with or work with or talk to about a potential opportunity, what terms would I be using to narrow down my field? What am I searching for? So when you think about it in those terms, you can add a wide variety of things that you want to do. But if it's been a while since you've looked at your skills, go in and check to make sure that they're still the ones you want to be found for.
I'm not even sure I put my half these skills in. I think it pulled them from other documents and I probably just said, yeah, okay. So they're not very intentional.
So you want to be intentional. So I'm going to pull up what I want to go through. Okay. So one of the things you're going to see is on your profile itself, I only see 2 skills. Even though you've got 33 listed, there are only 2 skills listed on the profile itself. Now, the back end of LinkedIn is going to see them all. Okay. If I'm doing my search, I'm going to see them all. But on the profile itself, I only see 2, which means that the 2 that are here at the top of your list are the 2 you most want to be found for or known for. So you want to reorder those skills in order to do that. Now I'm going to warn you all that when we start getting into this endorsement exercise, every time a skill is endorsed, it moves it automatically to the top of your list. Which means that when you're done, or every time somebody endorses you, you need to go back in and reorder those skills to make sure that they're still in the order you want. You want to make sure that even though I only see 2 on your profile, okay, if I click see all, I'm really probably only going to look at the ones that show up on my screen the first time. I'm not going to do a whole lot of scrolling. So you want to make sure that the first 5 to 10 are in the order in which you want to be found. Okay, the ones you most want me to see. And every time you add a skill, it's going to ask you, where did you do it? Now, the reason for that is, again, the LinkedIn backend. Let's say that I'm doing a search for somebody and I want somebody who's got 3 years of palliative care nursing. When you've added it to your jobs, LinkedIn's back end is going to look at how long you were in those jobs that you added it to, and it will do the math. Which is why it's important, if you've done it more than once, to add it more than once. You should also add some of them in your about section. You can add your top 5 to 10 skills here. Marge, chime in anytime.
Okay.
Okay. So these are important steps that I want you to take. So Caitlin, you've got 33 skills. I would add more.
And
I'm
reorder.
gonna- And reorder. And I'm going to show you in just a minute how to reorder them.
I found the button.
Okay. And how to add them. Okay. Okay. And it's okay if there are a number of them that look the same, different areas. Again, not everybody uses the same terminology to try and search.
Mhm.
All right. I can't go into your profile and edit, but I'm going to show you mine and show you how to add, reorder those skills. And I've been playing with my profile just a little bit. I need to play with it more. Okay. But if I'm going on to my skills, you'll see that the two, okay, here's my skills. Okay, I have 82 skills right now. I need to go in and cut some out, add some new ones. But at the moment, those are what's there. If you have endorsements, and I just added these two this morning for purposes of today's exercise. Okay, so I had no endorsements for those. So when we go into that endorsement exercise, guess which two I'm going to ask you all to endorse. But here's the way you do it. So if you're in your skills section and it's in your profile, you all know how to get to your own profiles. The plus sign lets you add a skill. And I'm usually lazy and I have to stop myself in this. I'm usually lazy and I don't use caps when I start typing. Here you need to. Okay. So if I wanted to add, for example, group coaching, I could do that. Now they came up with just coaching, but I'm going to add the group for the moment. So that's my adding. Where did I use it? I'm going to add 4 places. Okay, I'm not adding another skill at the moment. So now that automatically shows up at the top of my list. Now, if I don't want that, I'm going to use the pencil instead. And with the pencil, there are a couple of things that you can do. The very first thing I want you to do is I want you to go to these 3 dots. And I want you to double check to make sure that your endorsement settings are on. You not only want to endorse other people, okay, you want people to endorse you. And again, it's only your first level connections who can do that. So turn all 3 of those on if they aren't already. Now back to those 3 dots, you'll notice that the top one up here says reorder. If you click on that, we're really talking drop and drag. Drag and drop. So if I want to, okay, I'm going to move this one down. It's as easy as that. It's an automatic save. Now, unfortunately, when LinkedIn does this, oh, there it goes. Okay. You'll see all of them, but it's going to take you time. And it doesn't show you all of them that you can reorder. Which is why they're telling you too that the top of that list is what's most important in terms of what other people will see. Again, behind the scenes, it doesn't make any difference. But you know that we don't necessarily go beyond one screenshot to keep looking visually, even though the algorithm will. Okay, so make sure all of those are there. And that's the way you reorder them. And every time you get an endorsement, that skill that you've just been endorsed for will move up to the top of the list. So as wonderful as endorsements are, and you should get a notification telling you that people have endorsed you for this skill. When you see that at the end of the day, go back in and reorder your skills, at least to make sure that the 2 that you most want to be found for are at the very top of your list, because those are the 2 you want to be show up on your profile.
Yeah, Linda, that's a very good point, and that you really want to put up to the top the skills that you want to be known for. And what I talk with the people who I coach, and a lot of the skills that people use it, they might be calling it as a different name than what you see over here in LinkedIn. And I encourage the people who I speak with to really do some searches on LinkedIn, advanced searches, based upon your title that you like, and look at some of the profiles that come up and look at the skill sets that those individuals have, and then determine in your own mind, is that a skill set that I really have, but I call it something else? And if I call it something else, and these are the people who are showing up on my search are using a similar one that LinkedIn uses, but I do not use. I change it in my profile to what LinkedIn says.
Absolutely. That's the reason for the drop-down boxes, because the drop-down boxes are how we're all used to using it. Now that LinkedIn is allowing us to do some native language searches, I want you to use the drop-down boxes and something else. So double check to see what other people are using as well. I think it's a great opportunity. And I do it all the time, not only with my clients, but I've started doing it with myself too. If you're looking at some of the jobs, by the way, that are on LinkedIn, and they say, here are the skills they're looking for that you don't have in your profile, you can add some of those too. If you really do have them, look at that terminology to see whether or not it's something that you want to add. Then once you've done that, once you've made a couple of changes, now it's time to go in and ask people for endorsements. So here's our exercise for today. And again, if you don't have this ready, it's okay. I want you to think about doing it and then adding it to your private group, or actually DM me with the information if you don't have it here. Okay, have it ready for now so that I can add it to the list when I put it in our private group. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the information that you're about to put in the chat, extract it, and put it in a post in our private group so that we can all endorse each other for those skills we want to be found for if we haven't done it yet. So here's what I want you to do in the chat. Okay, you've already introduced yourselves. That's not what this is. I want you to add your LinkedIn URL, and then you may need to do this in a doc or something else and then paste it in. But your LinkedIn URL, and then 5 to 10 of the skills you want us to endorse you for. Remember, you can only endorse first level contacts. If you want to, instead of putting it in the chat, put it directly into our private group, you can do that too. Because I'm going to post something there this afternoon that says, here's what we're doing. Please join this endorsement party. My recommendation, and Marty, I don't know what yours is that I'd like to see you, especially if you're just starting this endorsement role, I'd like to see you get a minimum of 10 endorsements for those top 10 skills you want to be found for. If you've
That's a
got,
good number. That's a
I'm
good
sorry?
number. That's a good number to have for each endorsement.
Okay, at least to get started. You can always increase them. Now, LinkedIn don't listen, but there's a big difference between an endorsement and a recommendation. A recommendation is social proof. I've actually worked with you. You've been my client, my partner. You've been in these sessions. We're endorsing you. We're, sharing kinds of things that worked. You've been a client. You work with me in a job in another life. It doesn't make any difference, right? I'm testifying. I'm saying specifically what it is that we worked together on, what I'm recommending you for, and why. Okay, what made a difference? I have to know. I have to have that connection. So here's the LinkedIn don't listen part. Endorsements don't need that. For an endorsement, all you have to do is be a first level connection and click. Now, when I first started out on LinkedIn, I'll be honest with you, I thought in the endorsements, because of that reason, were a bunch of, I wasn't interested. But because I was going to use a different word, right? It's a holiday, we're on screen, it's going on YouTube, I'm not going to do that. But I've come to learn and support the idea that endorsements count. So aim for minimum of 10 endorsements for those top 10 skills that you have. And once you've got 10, think about getting endorsements for the next 10. And at that level, move to 5. But you want to be able to have endorsements for everything that you want to be found for. Now, 10 is in my head just that gateway number. Okay, just as the 5 is for the second. You can have more. One of the people that I do a lot of work with here on LinkedIn is working to get 100 endorsements for her top 20 skills. That's a lot. Okay. That's overwhelming for a lot of people. That's why I'm looking at 10 for your top as a minimum, and then you can go from there. 5 for your second level, and then go from there. But remember, first level connections are the only ones who can do that. Perfect. So Deborah included hers right now. Okay. So if you are a first level connection, you can endorse her for those skills. If you are not a first level connection, connect first, then endorse. When you endorse someone, if you've got all 3 of those endorsement buttons turned on, you'll get a message saying so-and-so endorsed you for, okay, for some skills. The implied there is say thank you, absolutely. And then send a message back, what would you like me to endorse you for? Or I've just endorsed you too. It's that hidden, okay, reciprocity that's really important. Now, for people who are not on screen today, how do you go about getting those endorsements from them? Because you should. You know that I'm a big pusher for holiday network. That's a bad way of phrasing it. That I'm a big believer, right, in doing holiday networking and in reaching out to people that you haven't spoken with in a while. And for many of you, and I don't know whether you've talked about it, but we've talked about it several times over the last month, and we'll continue to talk about it, the importance of those DMs. And while you're doing it, for most of those connections, at least once, use your background isn't working, but use your phone. Leave a voice message. It makes a difference. And for those of you who've tried it, you know that we're talking about 20 to 58 seconds is really the maximum that it'll take. You have to do it from your LinkedIn mobile app, but you stand out. By the way, those voice messages as a follow-up on LinkedIn when you've applied for a job, oh, do they make a difference? They make you stand out. So please consider using those, but not to ask for endorsements. And here's the reason why. When you're asking for endorsements, you really want to be able to have something that they can look at. So when asking for those endorsements, that written DM is much better than the verbal DM. Because they can look at it and reply directly. By the way, how many of you have started leaving a couple of those voice DMs on LinkedIn? Give it a try. Okay? I've gotten some from a couple of you. And again, all it has to do is say, happy holidays, thinking of you, let's reconnect. It's a way of warming up those older connections that you have. The holidays or any time is also a great way of thinking about asking them for endorsements. Marty, when you work with your clients, sorry for putting you on the spot for a moment, do you recommend that people reach out to connections and ask for endorsements?
I do that, and also recommendations. the recommendations becomes an instant reference for you when potential employers are looking at your
Exactly.
LinkedIn profile. Now, you mentioned something. This right now, between Thanksgiving and the first 2 weeks of January, are the best time to connect with people. It's much easier if you haven't spoken to a person in a while. Everybody has a holiday spirit. Everybody is really trying to talk to each other. There's free time over there. Now is the time to really put your foot to the pedal, put it to the metal, and move. Last week, I had 3 of my clients land. People are around to talk with you. Actually, I have an interview this afternoon with a potential client for my fractional work. This is the time, and it is very easy, as Linda says, to connect or reconnect with people who you haven't connected with in a while. All you have to do is say, I've been thinking about you. It's the holiday season. I want to wish you a happy holiday. I'd like to know what's going on. Let's have a conversation. And that's it. And, you could talk now, you could talk after the holiday is over, but now is the time to plant the seed and connect with these people because people are hiring now. People are in a good mood. People are available to interview with you. Now is the time.
Absolutely. And it works. Are you going to hear from everybody? Well, no. That's okay. But you're making the effort, you're getting yourself out there. You don't know where some of those additional connections are going to come from. Okay. You might be able to help somebody else, but warming them up is a good thing. So please go ahead and try and do that. Now, when you're asking those connections that you may have heard from, the one that Marty just talked about is the way that we've been talking about for months. Okay. Whether you're doing it for the holidays, whether you're doing it now, that idea of reaching out and saying, hey, we haven't spoken in a while. What's going on with you? Okay. Not an ask. Gee, I'm looking for a new job. What do you got for me? Right? You never do that in the first conversation, even if you're warming up an older connection. This is really a let's catch up. And if you make the commitment to yourselves, you can make it to us too, that you're going to reach out to at least 5 of those connections, those older connections, between now and the first of the year. Try and do a couple of them every week afterwards, right? Doesn't have to be just holiday. But I think you'll start to get in the habit. Just remember to go back in and double check your DMs. Okay, let me do this. Now, if you're going out and you're asking specifically for endorsements, right? You can say, I've been doing a little bit of updating of my profile over the week, this past week, and I realized that we hadn't spoken in a while. I know endorsements are important. I just endorsed you for X, Y, and Z. Okay. Happy holidays. You're not asking them specifically to endorse you, but most people, you endorse them, they're going to come back and ask you what you want to be endorsed for, or they're going to go in and they're going to look at the first 5 on your profile and they're going to endorse you for those. That's the importance of reordering those, or another reason. The other thing you can do is you can reach out and say, the simple, I know endorsements are important. What 5 things would you like me to endorse you for? Okay, I want to help. LinkedIn's changed their algorithms. The endorsements are even more important. Your name just came up as I was thinking about you. Let's catch up. And oh, by the way, if we're talking endorsements, what would you like me to endorse you for? Now, some people are more comfortable or just as comfortable reaching out and saying, hey, I'm updating my profile. Would you please endorse me for without the preliminaries? You have to find your own style. Here, we're just being blatant, we're asking. But when you're reaching out to the contacts who aren't part of this meeting, okay, ask them what you want to be endorsed for. tell them what you want to be endorsed for, but try and remember that this is not only just that endorsement party, which is what we're going to do in just a minute, but it's also that idea of building, maintaining, growing those relationships. Connections are relationships. The best connections are relationships. It's not just adding the numbers. We want you to add the numbers, don't get me wrong. But by the same token, the reason for adding those numbers, we want you to add the right numbers. We want you to add the right people. And we want you to think about building those connections, not just as adding to your number count, but as developing those relationships, because again, you never know where you can help someone else. They can help you, how you can grow professionally, how you can learn from someone else, how you can share what you do. One more thing in terms of connections, besides the fact that I really want you to connect with all of us. And because we know that many of us, like me, are on a free account, you only have 3 connection messages a month. If we're part of this group, it's another reason for the private group. You can see that we're real people. Connect without a message. I will accept you all. Okay, I'm hoping you all will do the same. So there's that. But again, you have to connect before you can endorse. Okay, and I know I've been talking away. Any questions or issues with some of this? So do you all have your list? I'm going to add mine. Okay. Now, if you've reordered them, all you have to do is be able to put them in the right order there. Okay. In terms of what people see, and they're going to go to the first ones. Good. I love the fact that you all are doing this. Sorry, I'm trying to write mine over here so that I can copy it in. And then in a minute, what we're going to do, we've got, remember, we're going to do a little bit of small group networking. Thank you, Melanie, for saying that you're working on it. Perfect. Okay. So even if you're not ready to have those endorsed, okay, thinking about that is a useful exercise to try and figure it out. Oh, and by the way, asking for recommendations is also a good thing. I'm much better, if I'm going to call myself out, I'm much better at asking for recommendations or referrals. I am much better at asking for endorsements and giving in, okay, than I am about asking for recommendations. It's one of the things that I need to do better. Those recommendations are things that give you that social proof. The endorsements help in terms of helping you get found. So we'll see all of that.
You have to do
Now,
both. You have
Go
to
ahead.
do both.
I'm sorry, Marty.
You have to do both.
You have to do both. The story of the shoemaker's daughter or shoemaker's kids who have no shoes, right? I'm great at telling other people, not necessarily good at finding the time to do it myself. So don't be like me, be like you. This is one of those do as I say, not as I do, and then convince me to do as I say as well. And it's okay to laugh at me, Mary. Trust me. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add mine here as well. Or I might add it to the end of the chat before I put it in the private group. That's good. All right. And anybody who wants to endorse me for anything that's beyond this, recommend me, that would be great. I'll take it. Okay, once I add mine, give you a minute or two to finish adding yours, and then we're gonna go off and do that small group network. Remember, you've got to connect, you've got to copy the chat so that if you're not doing these endorsements, making these connections now, that you can do it when we're offline. And even though I told you all to think about this last week, I didn't put it all together and I should have. Okay, so go through my list. If there are other things that you think are important, please add those. I am open to endorsements for anything on my list. Okay, especially those top 20 that are there. And I may come back and ask for additions, just as I'm hoping you all will as well. So as a reminder, before I put you into small groups for some networking, top of the screen where it says Career Search Lunch and Learn, 3 dots, file, save, or save chat. Also click anywhere into the chat to talk about, select all, and then copy, and then you can put it into your own document. But I will add this to the chat. Okay, all of these recommendations that you all are talking about, I'm going to extract them from the chat, add them to the private group, okay, this afternoon. As a reminder, the private group is listed here as well. You can't just find it on LinkedIn, you have to ask to join. So if you're not a member of the private group, I put that link into the chat as well. Okay. Perfect. All right, everybody ready to do a little bit of, oh, before we do networking, sorry, next week is New Year's Eve. We're going to do this again, but we're going to just do networking. We're just going to share celebrations. We're going to learn a little more about each other beyond what it is we want to do. More about who we are. Okay? Because again, part of what we do is knowing, liking, and trusting. And you all are more than a face on a screen or a name on a screen. You're more than your job. So let's know a little bit more about you, and we'll just celebrate a little bit and have some fun. First week in January, I think it's January 7th, is our monthly Ask Us Anything. Career Search Q&A. Okay, Marty, you're welcome to join us for that as well, if you'd like to be part
Thank
of
you.
that. Okay. So the first of every month, okay, you ask questions, we get you answers. And it can be anything related to career search. So get those questions ready. And then on the 14th, we're going to be doing a look back and a look forward. Sue and Ken and I have been hard at work looking at, gee, what's the market going to look like? What are our cracked crystal ball predictions based on what we're seeing in the economy, what we're hearing from our colleagues, all the research that we're reading. And we're going to share that with you and answer your questions about it on the 14th. And then we will move from there. But that's what we've got planned so far, and I wanted you to be ready for all of that. Remember to invite new people to the group. We love it. Don't share the private group link. Share the link to register for this. All right. Anybody up for some small group networking? I know that we've talked a lot, and I hope this was useful. But if you're still willing to stay around for a while, I'm willing to put you all into small groups so that you can do a little bit of that networking we often talk about. If not, have a fantastic week, a great holiday. Yes. Marty, you just said Linda in the chat, and I'm not sure what that means.
I'm just telling you, I believe I have to go for another meeting. So
Not a
have a
problem.
good time. Have a happy holiday, everybody.
Absolutely, and many of us do. So go ahead and do that. Have a great holiday season, and I will see you all soon. But for those of you who want to stay, thank you, Marty, for joining us.
Thank you.
For those of you who want to stay, okay, and can stay, I'm going to put you into small groups. If you can't, we'll see you next week or in January or both. All right. Is this my group for networking? All right. I'm going to give you 20 minutes. If you need more, let me know. Because it looks like there are 4 people in a room. But I'll give you 25. And then we'll go from there. Have fun. Caitlin, you're frozen. Are you planning to join a group? Caitlin, can you hear me?